Why hello there, superheroes and civilians alike. Shams Nelson here from Fantastic Anatomy, and today I'm going to share with you the 4 types of gesture drawings that I learned about in my recent experiences learning about gesture drawing. So let's get started. Alright, the first thing to know is that you got to have an action line, and this will be pertaining to any of the 4 types. And an action line is basically a line that goes all the way through the figure, and there are 3 kinds, more or less. They're the C shapes, S shapes, and I shapes. All right, and so these are going to be the 3 action lines you'll see that goes through the figure, and I'll give you an idea of what I mean by looking at some of these references. These are some martial arts books I've got. So here, this guy, the action line usually goes from the head to the main supporting foot, or whatever just kind of captures the flow of the figure best. So we could start here at the head and just make this would be a C-shaped action line, like that. Let's say this one, you could either do an S, kind of a shallow S like that, and usually the S-shaped action lines are more shallow, or you could maybe make it a C like this. And with gesture drawing in general, there's no really like right or wrong answer. There's just how you interpret the figure and how you personally take it away, and you want to give it a lot of energy. I guess I didn't really explain what a gesture is, but it's just the first sketch that you'll make of a figure before you like really start rendering it out or doing any details and stuff. So let's look at 1 or 2 more. Here I've got some more down here. So this one might be an S like that. Here this is an I, just a straight line, because he's standing straight up and down. Same with this one. Here I would say probably a C. You might also want to do an S coming into this foot, like that. So yeah, I think you've got the idea. This would probably just be a straight line. And a lot of times it'll follow the spine. And this one I would say is more of a curve like that, a C shape, a shallow C shape. So yeah, I think that's giving you a good idea of what I mean by that. So I think it's time to move on to what the 4 types of gesture drawing are. And these aren't like the only 4, but these are 4 ways that I learned to do gesture drawings, and I like to switch it up between them. It's not like one is necessarily my absolute favorite, but okay, so why don't we go ahead. It's hard to do this while looking at the video. All right, let's go ahead and divide this into 4 sections. And I'm going to be really messy because gesture is pretty messy, I think. I mean, when you see like masters of it do it, it might look, I mean, it still looks messy, but it looks beautiful. There's more about energy and stuff, so I would say in this matter, usually quality is better than quantity, but when practicing gesture drawing especially, I would say quantity is definitely better than quality. Like if you make a bad gesture drawing, just move on to the next one or do it again next to it. Don't try to erase and fix it. It kind of defeats the purpose and you're not going to learn as much. You just want to kind of keep flowing, do them quick. So let's call these ones at the top are going to be categorized as the fast ones. You'll see what I mean in a second. And then down here, I'm going to write slow. All right. So we got fast gesture drawings and slow gesture drawings. The first one, I'm going to call it fast and I have different names for it, but minimalistic or simplistic. So fast and simplistic. And that might be like, so I guess I'll use these martial arts things. I forgot to get other reference to draw from. So, all right, so let's start with a gesture line like or action line like that. That's going to be the C shape. And so fast and minimalistic. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just be like, you know, come here. Okay, what am I looking at? I've got the body, and then I've got a leg coming down here, and another leg coming out like that, and his arms doing this kind of thing. Boom, that's the end of the gesture drawing. Just really quick like that. Let's do one more, I guess. Here's one that maybe let's do an S. All right, I'm feeling like his hands are coming down. They meet like that. Let's give the body a little bit like that. This leg comes down and like that. That's it. And I should do one in pencil so you can see like how when you come back, you won't necessarily follow the proportions, or you'll change stuff. So let's go ahead, let's do one more. Okay, so like this. Okay, so we got something like that. He's punching out in 2 lines like this. Okay, then see that's not very proportionate at all, but then I can come back and kind of be like, all right, so let me fix this up the body's going to be like this. I'm seeing the waist kind of coming forward. You know, this line. Trying to get out the way. You know, coming up like that. I'm gonna just follow the basic gesture, but that's gonna give me like the idea of how I want my figure to look on a very like on the most basic level, like what his pose is gonna be and stuff. And you can go in and refine it more and stuff, obviously, but I won't get into that now because it's not the point of this video, and I want to move on to the next section soon. So this is the fast gesture drawing, the fast and simple method. So over here, I'm going to say this is what I call the fast and messy. And this is actually kind of fun to do, and maybe it's the best way to start off because there's like very little pressure and stuff on it. So this might be something like you just kind of make scribbles and just feel it out through the scribbles. You know? And if you're doing digitally especially, this is great because, you know, like that might be the gesture right there. Okay, let's do one more. Or you can do this with a colored thing like this and then go over it with the pen. Actually, I'll show you in my sketchbook one thing I did like that. Oh, see, now I'm getting too much structure. No, just want to scribble, scribble, scribble like that. See, just kind of filling it in. I mean, I guess it's kind of scribbly, but. So that's it. The fast and the scribble, this fast scribbled method. Fast and messy. Actually, that's what I called it, but scribbled works too. So you got fast and quick, fast and messy, and fast and quick. Oops, I forgot. I actually broke that down into two different ways. You can do it just feeling based. So here I'm gonna grab another. So now I'm gonna look at some of these longsword fighting guys, I guess. Get a little bit to mix it up a bit. Okay, so the feeling method, the feeling based way, you wouldn't even have to like draw all the parts. Maybe just, you know, like that's what I'm feeling. Just that's it. And you kind of get the idea. You know it in your mind. No one else has to tell you. Like I know that that's one arm, this is the other arm. Here, this leg is crossing over this leg, kind of thing, you know? And that's all I need to start getting refining because I've got the energy and the movement of it. The other is more of a structured way. So that way you'd like do usually the head, the shoulders, so you can see like, okay, which ways are the shoulders bending like that, which way, and then the two arms, to tick for the arm, you know, spine. I didn't start with the gesture line, and then the legs. So that way you have all the structures of the body laid out, you know, and here's his sword. Okay. So yeah, those are two different fast, minimalist ways to go about it. Here's a fast, messy way to go about it. Just kind of scribble, scribble, scribble. And I think I mentioned if you're doing it digitally, or maybe I didn't, this is kind of cool because you can just lower the opacity of the layer once you're done and then draw right over it. And it really allows you to like, because then you can erase easily on digital and stuff and really like carve it out. It's almost like you're sculpting. And sculpting is a very forgiving medium because you can easily change stuff. And I like to think of drawing in general as sculpting a lot of the time. So, okay, so those are the two fast methods. Now, slow method is more, not super slow, but slower than just like, you're kind of gonna give it more thought and stuff like that. So, oh, I was gonna show you some stuff. Okay, I'll show you the couple things from my sketchbook later to give you an idea of when you spend more time and when I'm more, you know, you're more focused, or what kind of stuff you can, yeah, it'll just give you some more examples. Hopefully it'll be helpful, but let's keep moving on. So the slow method, the first one is slow and minimal, which is very similar to fast and minimal, but when you're doing it, it's kind of more like you're really gonna think, like, okay, here, this one I'm seeing the gesture line is kind of starting straight and coming back like that. You know, still keeping it loose. And another thing, oh man, I keep jumping around because I just keep thinking of stuff. Gesture drawing is really like, it looks the simplest, but out of all the different like videos, when I do a video, I research something a lot, I watch a lot of videos on it, usually at least 2, but with gesture drawing, I had to watch like 10. Like I was just, there's so much information and it was weird to me because it seems so simple. But one thing to do is also to hold your pencil like this. If you feel like you can't loosen up, you can hold the pencil more like this, and like that'll really force you to to loosen up, you know, and you'll just, because you have to use your whole arm when you do something like that, you know. So maybe something like that. That's like, see how I'm like really like moving my whole arm. Before I'm just kind of with my fingers. Here I have to go, you know, and even with this one, like if I'm doing something, so you gotta really, I think there's more energy in it when you do something like that. This guy's like holding his sword victoriously. Alright, so I'm gonna switch back to this way because I think the camera moves a lot when I do it that way, and also I'm not as confident yet in that method. Well, okay, you know what, who cares? Let me do it in this method. So here we go. So now I'm thinking more. So this, we're going back to slow and structured. Or no, slow and simple. Oops, I gave away the last one. Slow and simple. So slow and simple, you're gonna do simple lines, but you're kind of thinking more like, okay, there's a line like that. Maybe thinking like, okay, here, how's the pelvis turning? You know, like really observing the figure before you put down the line, and still giving them energy, but before you put down that line, you really like examine like, oh, where does it start? Where does it end? See, I kind of looked and saw that this ends pretty much right under the foot. While over here, I would just go like however I'm feeling it. This foot may be coming like a little bit like that. It's a little below this foot, so I'm gonna go, you know, that kind of thing. I'm seeing that the back curves forward a little bit. The head here is like a little more forward. Something like that. And so that would be my gesture drawing right there. That is the slow and minimalist style of doing it. And finally, in the last square, this is actually my favorite, but maybe it's the least gestural. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert, but this is one of the. Actually, no, I think it'd be gestural because it's really, you're putting it down your first go at it. So I don't know. Anyways, so this is the slow and structured method, or shape method. So I think shape is easier to remember. So there was one YouTuber who actually has some good videos on, really good videos on her anatomy thing, and she's currently in the making of these. One of them came out a couple of days ago, and her name is Miss Carrie J, MissKerriej. So you might want to check out her video on doing this, but credit goes to her. And so she created this this little structure to do gesture drawing with, and I've been really liking this. So it's the head, the little floating head, a square, and she does a square where it's bigger on the bottom, but you can, if I think that works really well for me. I would actually suggest starting there, but if you had like a more muscular character, you could switch it up. I've been experimenting with different shapes like this, and like that. This would be all the for female characters whose hips are wider. That's perfect, but it also works for male characters. Anyway, so for that you can, you know, just kind of, so let's do the action line, and then you kind of build it out like that, and just keep it simple. You know, there's some guy like skipping through the fields. Let's see, I'll do a Tai Chi guy. So here's this, I'm looking at his, so there's the action line, that. Like that. Alright, and if you want to do feet, you just put little triangles at the end, kind of thing. So that's one way, and then another way which I really like, which I stumble upon myself, is using the bean shape. So that's basically the bean shape right there, but it comes in different forms. So let's go ahead and do, okay, so let's say there's this guy like that. So this is usually, I think the starting with the body is the best, because that gives the best feel for it, feel for where all the pieces are, you know, everything connects to that. So like, oh, that could be a bean shape too, like that, and then elongated bean, okay, and here I'm gonna add a little more for the hips, another bean like this. See, even the foot's a little bean. Okay, and then you can build gestures like that. So if someone's standing straight up, you know, straight in front of you, looking straight at you. Let's say there's a straight gestural line like that. Okay, I think you can see how you can build a character off this. And one tip I would give is that the beans overlap here and here. That will give you good connections. I mean, they overlap everywhere. See here, it overlaps too. So that's a nice way to build up a character from a structure. And I think that's it. So just to review really quickly, we've got your CSI shapes. Those are going to be for your action line. We've got fast and minimalist, and there's kind of two kinds. There's the structured kind where you have the arms and legs and everything, and there's the more just expressive, free expressive type where you just put down whatever feelings you get, whatever movement you see, and take it from there. Then we've got the messy kind where it's our scribble, you know, putting a lot of scribbles down. You could even do it like this if you wanted to. So you're like, I mean, you can do, I don't think that's the best way. Actually, I'm making stuff up while I'm here, so. But the point is to be free and to just experiment and like really let loose on these. So we've got the scribble, fast scribbles. We've got the slow, simple minimalist type of gestures where you're gonna look at the figures carefully, you know, examine them and say, okay, here's this line is curving back here. I see his head's over here. The foot's a little farther back, so I'm gonna want to make sure to copy that when I make my line. Here, this foot has got more of an angle, and this is going straight up and down, so I'm going to want my gesture line there to copy it. So maybe I'll do a straight up and down line and then connect it. Here I see that these two flow together almost like one line with just this sticking up a bit, so maybe I'll do that, and then like, so that's what you're thinking about each line before you put it down. Well, in the first two fast methods, you're really just putting down what you feel or what you initially see, and you can go back and fix it up later. And then the last one is to build it by shapes, and still kind of feeling the shapes and also exaggerating. That's another thing I didn't mention about gestures. You want to exaggerate what you see. So if I see a curve here like that, I might put it down like this is what I saw, but I might put it down like this, you know, like push it a little bit. You're going to get more interesting characters, and trust me, you'd rather draw it with an exaggerated gesture than not, because if you do it not, it's going to look more stiff and less interesting. If you do it exaggerated, it might look a little bit crazy, but probably that craziness will work to your advantage. And so that's the last one, is the structured building up the gesture by shapes. So to show you something I did a little more time on. So here, like, this is what, like, I did quick gestures, and then I came back over them with the pen to try to get a better, like, form. I think you can see that, like, this has a little more, like, here I'm kind of paying attention more to form and stuff, while on the ones that I didn't do it, like, see, this one's too long. If I had finished it up, or this one's very, doesn't have feet, doesn't have the other arm, no connection on the neck, and so that's one, like, kind of how you do it. And like, here's the same thing. I do with these light colors, and I came in, okay, I started looking at, okay, where's the muscles, like building the muscle up. But initially they were more like that, you know, that's all I would draw, and then come in and add the details. Here's another one, you know, it's just like kind of simple. You can see the proportions aren't quite as good, but then I came in and you can build up the shape, you know, you don't need to put the structure. Now I can put in the muscles. That requires like some knowledge of anatomy and stuff. But yeah, okay, I think that's it, and I hope that was helpful. And yeah, peace, God bless, and stay fantastic, everyone.